Welcome in, everyone, to another live show. I'm alone. No co-hosts seem to have appeared. So I will still do my best to take all of your questions. And we will see if anyone decides to appear. But let's just jump into the one question we have. If there are no questions, the show will be very short. So, yeah. Here's the one question that we have. Do we start the Kyler and the Saints defense or Trevor Lawrence and the Niners defense? Don't want to start the Niners defense against the quarterback. I don't get that deep into this kind of stuff. I just try to start the best players I have, regardless of if I'm playing another player. I don't really concern myself with that. So with that being said, let's look here. And of course, if you're here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't dropped a like on the stream, please, please do. That would really mean a lot. And yeah, we'll have to see, we'll have to see. I think I'll be honest and I say that I think that solo Tyler video is the best and solo Tyler live is the worst type of content that I do. So, if they're going to not be co-hosts on a more frequent basis, there might not be live content. We're going to have to see. As for this question, both Kyler and Trevor Lawrence have bad matchups. Kyler against the 49ers, Trevor Lawrence against Baltimore, but I will go with Kyler Murray. He's healthier. And I think I guess I'm scared of both, but if I had to choose, I think I'm a little more scared of Baltimore than I am of San Francisco. As for the defenses, I have San Francisco as my number one defense this week, so I'm playing them no matter what. Toronto Dave says, whatever that emoji is, thank you. I appreciate you for watching, and for, like I said, for all those who are watching, make sure to tune in and ask some questions, because I don't really know what to do without party time. I don't really know what to do without the questions. I don't have my script. I don't have anything to talk about, no co-hosts to talk with. So yeah, we will see. How do you think Davante Adams will go on Thursday night? I think I have to start him, even though he's been so-so. It's a good question. I debated a lot when I was doing my initial start-sit rankings, where I would rank Davante Adams. I think that for the most part, since Aiden O'Connell has come in, the Raiders offense has sucked. But he has favored Davante Adams, certainly over Michael Mayer and Jacoby Myers. So I have Davante Adams at wide receiver 15 this week. In most situations, that means he's a must play. I think the volume will be there. But considering that the Raiders scored 0 points this week, I can't blame you for not wanting to start him, but I'm going wide receiver 15 to start for me. Is David Njoku a must start going forward? Yes. I'm going to say yes. But, I get it. I get not wanting to start someone in Joe Flacco offense, but, the volume has been there. I have him at tight end 8 this week. So no concerns with David Njoku. I actually thought he was ranked a little lower than I would have ranked him, but in the ECR that I was looking at. So, I would say he's a must start moving forward. Appreciate the advice. Oh, thank you. Like I said, I like doing this But, the views tell the story. They do. They tell the story. They say that the solo Dynasty content is all that people want, and everything else performs badly. Anything redraft related, anything start sit related, anything live performs badly. The Dynasty videos, if it says Dynasty something, 2 straight weeks, over 1,000 views now on the Mustache Dynasty video. I've never had 1,000 views on anything live ever. And now in 2 weeks, the same video has had 1,000 views 2 straight weeks. So it's not a fluke. It wasn't just a one-off. Clearly, something was very successful there. My other Dynasty video, Dynasty Risers, it started off slow, but it has 386 views now. I'm very happy with that. Anything else, anything redraft related, it's all been horrible. And live shows have all been terrible. So in the views, the numbers say that's bad. This last week's live show, which I titled the same as this one, was a little bit better. But it's hard, it's hard. I don't think I'm great live solo. So I'm much better recorded. I do much better solo when I'm reading from script because I can make it look like I'm not reading from a script. That's probably my biggest talent in doing solo content. It looks a lot more organic, I think, than it really is. Because those are like 95% scripted. But I still can bring some energy to it. Jordan Love or Jake Browning? Yeah. I'm going to go with Jordan Love. I mean, Minnesota's defense held the Raiders to 0 points last week. I know. I'm going to go Jordan Love. Without Christian Watson, I will say Christian Watson, and I have this on my show sheet, kind of some one of my topics. Christian Watson makes that offense go. Like without Christian Watson, that offense is not special. So I have Jordan Love significantly lower than the ECR. I have him at quarterback 14, but I have Jake Browning at quarterback 17. So a couple spots lower. I get it. I get that Jake Browning, it has been great, but I think Jordan Love is just a better player. I'm going to go with Jordan Love. I have Pitts in Dynasty, and while the coach is killing my soul, I feel like he is still a hold going into next year. Thoughts? Well, I did talk about Kyle Pitts on yesterday's 5 takeaways video. I did talk about it. Let's see if that helps. Yes, I talked about Kyle Pitts and how the Falcons offense finally did things more like how we wanted. Of course, go check out the video. If you haven't checked out yesterday's video, go check out the video and we'll, hopefully it's a good one that we can all enjoy. And here's the link to that video. You can go check that out. With that said, Kyle Pitts had a pretty good usage. He did score a touchdown. He had 85% snap share, but only 6 targets. So, yeah, he's a hold. I think we see that Arthur Smith is actually getting his act together, and the problem is Desmond Ridder. If they had a competent quarterback, unfortunately, if that competent quarterback is like Justin Fields, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. But we'll have to see. I'm hoping somehow they get Kirk Cousins. That would fix all of these problems immediately. That would fix all the problems immediately. But I'm not sure that that's going to happen. 15-minute segments on Dynasty players is awesome. Can watch in a spare moment and get great intel. I appreciate that. Yeah. It does make me wonder, like, is this the best use of my time? No, probably not. If there were 100 people watching and there were hundreds of questions, maybe. But no, I've already talked about it. I mean, I've said this behind the scenes, and I don't mind saying it on here. I don't think I'm going to go out and find new co-hosts for the live show. If the current set of co-hosts leave the show or don't want to do it anymore, whatever, I think I'm going to retire the live show if this current format, this current group of people ends. I think I'll end it there. I don't think I'm going to bring in a bunch of new people, try to redo it. I'm not, you can tell that I'm not really comfortable doing, like, I can do a 15-minute solo reaction on news. I can do that. I'm not really comfortable doing an hour or an hour and a half show by myself. That's not in my wheelhouse, and it never will be. I'm much better in the short form solo content. I'm much better doing solo content when I'm not live. So, we'll have to see. But, I think live content, I'm never going to say never, but, it's definitely kind of going by the wayside, I think. It was a pandemic boom, I think. People were, during the pandemic, they were sitting there, they had nothing to do. It was good, a live show. People might actually tune in and watch an hour or an hour and a half live show. But today, it's like what Blake is saying. Everyone is back to their lives. They're all on the go. They're doing a lot of things, like an hour video, intimidating. That's intimidating. It's too long. 15-minute video, people might watch that. Like, I have the data on the 15-minute video. There are a significant number of people who are watching the whole thing, not a minute or 30 seconds, the whole thing. So a significant number of people are doing that. So that tells me that people are loving that content and that I have to do more of that. Whereas the numbers on a live show are abysmal. I mean, absolutely abysmal. So what that means is if the numbers during the show do not improve, the live show will not exist. It won't. It just won't exist. The numbers need to be better. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see, because it's just, if I can get 700 views on a recorded video, and 200 on a live show, why would I do a live show? I don't, I love you guys, but I'm not, I'm still a business person here. I'm not stupid. I'm going to go with the numbers. I'm going to go with the audience demand. I'm here for what you guys demand, not what I want to do. And between us, I'm more comfortable recorded than live. Justin Jefferson or Lundale and Lundale. So I need Patrick to read this stuff. Justin Jefferson or London and Waddle. It's a good question in Dynasty. I'll go with Justin Jefferson. I like that Drake London is kind of getting his act together, but I don't think Drake London or Jalen Waddle is ever going to be Justin Jefferson or any part of Justin Jefferson. I don't think, Jalen Waddle is what, 2 tiers away? There's a tier kind of Jefferson, Chase, Lamb is kind of on the borderline. Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. I don't even think, excuse me. I don't think Waddle's in that group. He's kind of in the next group. I don't think he's ever even going to be a tier away from Justin Jefferson. I mean, 2 tiers down. Drake London, I think, has the potential not to be in the Jefferson tier, but higher potential, but he's stuck in a bad situation. He has to get out of it. So I'm going to lean Justin Jefferson, but on value, it's fair. Trade deadline this week, and I have a locked-in 103. Okay, well, now we can talk about that. We have playoffs are decided, so we do have locked-in picks. We can say it is this. Not it might be, it is this. We can talk about that. So that's interesting. It's going to make for some interesting debates. And I will say I've come around on something. I used to say I support my preferred is to have the trade deadline be, would have been yesterday evening after the games closed if you were playing on Sleeper. Week 14 trade deadline up until the moment the playoffs are decided, and during playoffs, no trading. That used to be my preference. But I've thought about it for a while, and I realized that I think you should be able to trade the whole time. Dynasty is for the most hyperactive. I think you should be able to trade the entire time. So I've kind of come around on that. So I support no trade deadline at this point. My second choice would be a trade deadline, after week 14. And then as you get earlier, I like it less and less. Trade deadline week 10 in Dynasty is horrible if you have anything like that. Anyway, The 103 versus CeeDee Lamb. Interesting. It's interesting. For me, maybe I'll prefer Caleb Williams to CeeDee Lamb. Maybe. I think that's it. Like, I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think that there's a universe in which I can prefer him to CeeDee Lamb, who's only going to be, who's a stud, who's very proven. So, yeah, I would take CeeDee Lamb. Traded Gibbs, London, and late 24 second for Jefferson and Dynasty. Thoughts? It's kind of similar to this, actually. Because Gibbs in a second, similar value to Waddle. I'd probably actually prefer Gibbs in a second over Waddle. So this is very similar. I would lean Jefferson, but I get it. If this is like a 14-team league, I understand it even more. You want to trade the one asset away. If it's a 10-team league, lean toward Jefferson more. Something to consider. Yeah, we talked about this. This is the link to the 5 takeaways video. Make sure to click on that, and watch it. My voice was a little shot yesterday, so I don't know if I had my best stuff, but the content was good, even if I didn't sound as good as I would have wanted. Let's see. There's a link to the Patreon if you're interested in signing up. Let's see. Yes, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That would be very nice. That would make me very happy. I, appreciate everyone who subscribes to the channel. I've turned the chat on subscriber only mode. So, yeah, please do that. Please do that. We have a lot of content coming. We excited about Wan'Dale Robinson at all? I took some notes on Wan'Dale Robinson. 6 for 79 on 7 targets, 79% snap share, played ahead of Jalen Hyatt in snaps, targets, production. I still lean toward Jalen Hyatt in Dynasty. He's been more exciting up until this week, but I've moved them a lot closer together. They're, like 13 overall spots apart, whereas going into this week, they were like 40 spots apart. So a little problem with Wan'Dale Robinson is they have Wan'Dale Robinson, they have Jalen Hyatt, but I think it's very clear that the Giants are going to be players in the wide receiver market. They're a team that I don't think they're going to be bad enough to get Marvin Harrison Jr. at this stage, but they're a team that's going to add at least 1, if not 2, significant wide receivers. They're not going to proceed with what they have. Like, I think Wan'Dale is a nice slot receiver. Jalen Hyatt is a fine Z receiver, but they're missing an X receiver, and we know that. So the answer is not really. And the Giants are not going to have a high-end quarterback. That is not going to happen. They won a game now. Now it's starting to become very apparent that the Giants, they've won 3 in a row. So they've gone from the, Drake May, Caleb Williams sweepstakes to the maybe not even being in the Jaden Daniels market. So, yeah, I think the Giants are going to be forced to have another year of Daniel Jones. So that is not ideal with Tommy DeVito as his backup. Now, Tommy DeVito's been fine, but Tommy DeVito is not, Joe Burrow. He's not going to elevate the fantasy weapons. Everyone wants Drake London now. Those people should have bought low. Yeah. But I've been saying this the whole time. Drake London is a player I never gave up on. It's not like Kyle Pitts. Drake London's usage has always been fine. The problem has been the quarterback play, but he's gotten the targets, he's gotten the usage, he's gotten the playing time. It's not like his playing time was ever cut like Kyle Pitts' was. So there's never been a usage issue with Drake London. What rookie or year 2 players are you excited for in 2024? Well, if we look at, CJ Stroud, does that count? Like, do you want some names that, I'll take this question as players who have yet to really do it, who I still think can. So, Anthony Richardson, that is top of the list. That is a player who flashed. but he did not do it because he only played 4 games and he was hurt in 3 of them. So Anthony Richardson is the top of my list. We see Shane Steichen is a genius. I mean, he has led this offense to an excellent performance despite having injuries to Jonathan Taylor, problems at the quarterback position with Gardner Minshew. I mean, he hasn't been dealt the best hand, and he's still managed to lead a more than a competent offense. So imagine what he'll do with Anthony Richardson. So that's top of my list. I wouldn't say I'm excited for Bryce Young, but problem with Bryce Young is you're going to know it's going to be very sad because you're going to know almost immediately. You're going to know almost immediately when we take the field in 2024. Is it fixed or is it not fixed? You're going to know very fast. So, unfortunately, he's going to be a very hard player to value. Then other guys who haven't really done it that I'm excited to see, maybe Tajay Spears. Got a good receiving role this week. Jackson Smith and Jigba, of course. I definitely have not given up on him. Tank Dell, who's out for the year. Jaden Reed. There's a lot of them. I mean, Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer is playing every snap. He just can't do anything. What are you going to do? You have a rookie quarterback and you have Devontae Adams. You are not going to succeed as a tight end in that. No matter how good you unless you are a top 3 talent, you're not going to be more than a low-end tight end 1 in this situation. If you plugged Dallas Goedert or Evan Ingram into that situation, they would not be fantasy viable. So, Michael Mayer is someone I have some interest in. Long list. What do you think about the Kelsey Toney play and all the drama from Kansas City and the media? What did I think about it? What does that even mean? I mean, I don't care. Yeah, is Patrick Mahomes being a little bit of a baby? Yeah, probably. Do I really give a shit? No. I mean, who cares? Look, when this show doesn't go well, sometimes, are there definitely times where I want to blame the co-host for it? Yeah. Do I do that? No. I blame it on something else. You redirect your anger at something you're allowed to be angry at. Blame it on the algorithm, blame it, whatever you want to blame it on. That's what this is. He's really mad at Kadarius Toney, but he can't say that. So instead, he blames it on the referees. I mean, this is what people do. I don't care. I don't care. 12-team 1 QB, Tank Dell or 107. Tank Dell. I think. I got to look a little closer at this class, but I don't think there's going to be a running back in it that I prefer to Tank Dell. I don't think. I mean, right now in Dynasty, I have, let's see, 6 running backs. Or no, 7. 7 running backs ranked ahead of Tank Dell. So for an incoming running back to be ranked ahead of Tank Dell, they would have to be top 10 at minimum. So are there going to be 7? There's not going to be a quarterback in 1 QB or, Brock Bowers maybe. So are there going to be probably, but are there going to be 6 wide receivers that I'll rank ahead of Tank Dell? Probably not. CJ Stroud, sell high in 1 QB. Seems like the hype doesn't match the fantasy production when you remove the Tampa Bay game. Absolutely not. Although in 1 QB, there's no market for quarterbacks. So it's is he a sell high? Maybe. Can you get the high? No. So yeah, no. The answer is no. He's not a sell high in Superflex. I mean, this kind of performance as a rookie portends, a really, really, really strong career. So the answer is no. Are Burks and JMO completely dead to us? Burks is more dead to me than JMO, but they're both pretty bad. J-Mo, I'm willing to give a more of, well, he's just missed time. And it wasn't due to an injury, so Burks, the problem is he's looked horrible even when he's out there. J-Mo's looked okay on the opportunities he's had. The problem is he's not earning any more opportunities. I don't know what's worse. So my answer is not completely, but at this point, if you offered me a mid-second for Jameson Williams, I'd probably take it. And if you offered any second for Burks, Burks is no longer worth a second. Burks is worth less than that. If that helps. My throat was really not ready for a solo show. But realistic chance that Tajay Spears or Chase Brown could be the starter for their team next year. Both seem to show some good flashes. So for Tajay Spears, I think that there are really two choices. Either the Titans bring back Derrick Henry and they roll over the same backfield, or they don't bring back Derrick Henry. They bring in a complement to Tajay Spears, and Tajay Spears is the starter. I don't think they're going to bring in a outside starter to overtake Tajay Spears. That I do not think is going to happen. So, and if they bring back Derrick Henry, I think the split will be more in favor of Tajay Spears than it is this year. And, you know, it's already, I mean, Tajay Spears is out snapping Derrick Henry, but I think it'll be even more toward Tajay Spears, more like a 50-50 split in terms of fantasy points. Like, I won't rank Derrick Henry as an RB1 next year. Like, Derrick Henry could be like RB15 to 20. Tajay Spears, I'd rank maybe around 30 because he has handcuff upside. So Tajay Spears, I think the chances are pretty good. Pretty good. I think like 50-50. Or maybe even a little more. Because I would lean that Derrick Henry doesn't come back. And then Tajay's the starter. They draft a Derrick Henry replacement to take the bruising carries, and Tajay leads a 60-40 times share with whoever that is. So that would be my lean. Third round draft capital says you should be, is fine. Teams look at that as a starter. Chase Brown for me, no. I am not sure they're going to bring back Joe Mixon. I think if Joe Mixon is willing to take a massive pay cut, they're willing to bring him back. Like, if Joe Mixon is willing to take a complete pay cut, they'll bring him back. If not, then they won't. So, but if they let Joe Mixon walk, I think they're going to replace him with someone they see as the starter and Chase Brown as the complement. But I moved Chase Brown up into relevant range, as in either way, I think Chase Brown has played there is no Bijan Robinson in this class. So I think Chase Brown has played his way into relevancy, as in he will be relevant. He will get relevant touches, I would say probably as the backup to whoever the starter is. But I think he'll be relevant. So, yeah. The odds of Chase Brown, I would say, being the starter are minimal. Just lost Herbert. Carr or Russ, rest of year? Russ, easily. Carr has been horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible. It's the kind of thing where the Saints have no way out of Derek Carr's contract, but it feels like they have to get out from Derek Carr because, like, he has just lost the locker room completely. He's lost the locker room. He's lost the coaching staff. He's lost the team. I mean, everything is just bad. I don't know what they do, though, because they're underwater on his contract if they cut him. It would actually cost them to cut him. I don't think any team's going to take the contract in a trade. So I don't know what they do. I really genuinely don't. Trade Carr back to the Raiders. That would be an interesting idea. That would be very funny if they did that. They probably have to give a pick with Carr. I mean, Derek Carr has been horrible. He's been horrible before that. He's been horrible the whole time. I mean, he's been horrible all year. Absolutely horrible. And his attitude is terrible. I mean, why is he yelling at his teammates for no reason? No reason. They had to break up a fight. You know, Dennis Allen says, let's move on. he wants to move on because there's nothing good to talk about. Derek Carr has been awful, absolutely awful. And I think it's time for them to move on, but they're not really able to do that. So we're going to see, are they going to make a hard choice, or are they going to just roll with Derek Carr, as vomit-inducing as it is? With no great running backs in this next draft, does that mean those 26 to 28-year-old running backs will still have a good market? No, it doesn't. Which one of those are we talking about? Like, who are we talking about? Austin Eckler? I mean, Austin Eckler is cooked. I mean, finished. Last game, he looked a little better. But in the free agent market, depends on who we're talking about. Saquon Barkley is going to have a free agent market if he doesn't get another franchise tag. Tony Pollard is going to have a market. Like, Tony Pollard is going to be a starter next year. Beyond that, Josh Jacobs will. Is it going to be the same workload, the same role? I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, I think teams are going to shy away from like Joe Mixon is probably going to either have to accept a minimum salary or a very low salary or retire. And I just think teams are getting away from that because they see that anyone that they get off in the later rounds of the draft can just play these running back positions. And it's not worth the massive investment. Let's say. But yeah, I wouldn't. These are not the type of assets in Dynasty that we want to be investing in. For every Raheem Mostert, there's 5 Dalvin Cooks. Most of the time, running backs are 27, 28 and finished. And not a little finished, like totally finished. Let's see. Well, I mean, if there should be some more questions, I mean, I'm willing to take some more questions. But it definitely doesn't look like I'm having. Do I still play chess? Not really. Not really. I don't not play chess, but I don't play like I used to. Definitely more focused on fantasy football than chess. But yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to playing it. I don't know. What do you guys want me to talk about? It feels weird to just go on like a script stuff because I don't feel like anyone's gonna watch it like this deep into a live show. Yeah. Well, let's see. I don't think if there's anything I really want to talk about. I do think from last night, one thing that I learned is that perhaps Tyreek Hill should be the MVP. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, I had that. I didn't use it. Perhaps Tyreek Hill should be the MVP. You saw that the Dolphins offense didn't go without him. Tua was only 23 of 33 for 240 without Hill for half the game. It just seems like Tyreek Hill is the engine that makes that offense move over Tua. Tua's fine, but without Tyreek Hill, Tua was nothing, nothing at all. And then Tua's become good once Tyreek got there. So it just shows which one of them is special and which one of them is just good. If Marvin Harrison goes to the Chargers or Cardinals, we take him over Caleb Williams. This is such a hypothetical. He's not going to the Chargers. So, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the first non-quarterback taken. So, at this point, the most likely destination is the Cardinals. If the draft were what the order is now, Chicago would take Caleb Williams at 1, New England would take Drake May at 2, and Arizona would take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3. That would be the beginning of the draft. And the answer is no. I would still prefer Caleb Williams. I like Caleb Williams a lot. And I don't know. I mean, those are the 2 top players in this draft in Superflex for sure. And then Drake May is, I think, a step down. Like Caleb Williams is going to come into the NFL as a top 12 dynasty quarterback. Drake May, maybe. Like once Caleb Williams goes in, Anthony Richardson would be at 12. Dak Prescott would be at 13. I think it'll be interesting to rank Drake May in that area. He'll be above everyone else. Like he'll be above Bryce Young, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. Be above those guys. But Drake May will be the interesting one to rank. And then I think, it'll go Caleb Williams 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. 2, Drake May 3, and then you get into a large group of wide receivers that are all great, and you're going to have to sort that group out. And the draft capital and the combine and all that will help us out a lot. Genuinely, is there a worse quarterback in the universe than Carr? Carr's not that bad, but the problem with Derek Carr is like the 20th to 25th best quarterback in the world. And you're paying him like $40 million. So you can't win. You can't win with that. But teams are still going to employ Derek Carr because you need competent quarterback play. You see what's the problem when you get to like really bad quarterbacks playing. So I don't know. I would lean that Derek Carr is still going to be a starter next year. But of all the higher end dynasty quarterbacks, or not higher end, but like in the starting range, he's one of the ones where there's risk. Like I have, Bryce Young at 16, he's still going to be a starter. Jordan Love at 17, he's locked down that job. Deshaun Watson at 18, he still has that long-term contract. He's not going anywhere. Russell Wilson at 19, he's picked his play up. He's going to be a clear starter. Kirk Cousins at 20, he was excellent before the Achilles tear. Assuming he's healthy, a team is going to give him a contract as if he's the starter. So he's going to be starter. Matthew Stafford has played his way out of doubt lately. He's going to be the Rams starter unless he doesn't want to play. Will Levis, with this win on Monday night, I think secured his starting position because he's pushed the tight ends probably out of quarterback range. But then you get into the range of where there's doubt. Kenny Pickett at 23, Geno Smith at 24, Sam Howell at 25, Derek Carr at 26, and Daniel Jones at 27. These are starters right now, and they were thought of as franchise guys, but there is doubt. And Derek Carr is one of the ones on that list where I might have a lot of doubt. Oh. I was about to give up on this show, by the way. I'm running out of gas. Can you hear?
Hold on.
I can hear you. Oh. We finally have some company. Oh, man. It's been an interesting show today. Well, while Ryan sorts that out, I will continue. Thanks for the advice. This Aussie lad has to get back to work. What time is it in Australia? That's really what I want to know. What time is it there? What time is it in Australia?
It's got to be tomorrow morning, right?
Tomorrow morning. Is it? I don't know what the time difference is like.
It's a decent bit, as far as I know. At least a day.
But yeah, I appreciate you, Blake, for being here. And I appreciate the audience because without the audience, the show would not exist.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, back to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume it's afternoonish.
Can you click on the stuff, or do you? Does that still work? Okay, go.
Yeah. Have you spoken about Isaiah Spiller yet? Any chance he gets meaningful work this year that leads into a role next year? Obviously, with Austin Eckler.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's your lucky day. Not that video. I did talk about it. It's in the Dynasty Sashes video that has over 1,000 views. So a lot of people have watched it. A lot of people watched me talk about that. A lot of people did see that. But, this is the great thing about creating Dynasty content. It's more evergreen than redraft content. Most of the stuff I said about Isaiah Spiller was not related to this week. So go and watch the video. It has chapters. It's this week's stash video, the most recent, where I did talk about Isaiah Spiller. You might find something interesting there. The answer to this question, though, I'm going to say, sure. Minimal chance, but if you ever find that running back that gains value, that's the kind of dynasty asset that gains the most value. So even if there's a minimal chance of it occurring, those are the types of assets you want to hold on to, because any asset in that range has a minimal chance of doing anything.
Mm-hmm. This next one's a good one. Would you consider taking Bowers at 106, 107 next year, even if you have Kincaid or Pitts, assuming the 3 QBs are taken and it's between Rome and Bowers?
This is... Let's break down this question into 2 parts. The first part, I don't care if I already have Kincaid or Pitts. Remember that we draft better players. Yes, we draft the more valuable players. And then we deal with it later. And at this point, I don't mind having multiple good tight ends or anything like that. We deal with it later. We always want to build a base of value because that gives us the best opportunities to trade later. We have value on our team. We see what happens. Ryan, you see in the league that we share, there are certain people who had bad teams and they let their older assets rot. And now they have no value to trade. They don't have any value because they didn't build a team based on value. And now they have a rotting corpse that's going to take like 3 years to fix. So, we'll see. But no, we take value. We want to focus on value. So I would consider it. Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to see where I'm going to value Bowers. That's a separate conversation. That depends on how he tests. It depends on, where he goes. That's totally open to interpretation. I don't know where. How high do you think Brock Bowers is going to go? It's a good question. How high do you think he's going to go?
Well, if they draft him, we saw Kyle Pitts go 4.
I think that's more of an interesting question than this question. Like where he's going to go is very interesting.
Let me take a peek at the draft order right now, and
less than that. Like, do you think that Brock Bowers should be picked in the top 10?
Yes.
So if he's going to be picked in the top 10, then if we look at the teams in the top 10. I think I said this earlier. I think right now, let's assume the order stays the same. The top 3 picks are pretty planned out. Chicago is going to take Caleb Williams. The Patriots are going to take Drake May. And the Cardinals are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Those are going to be the first 3 picks. So it's not going to be one of those. But then anything after that, I think, is in play. Now, Washington, would that be a major upgrade to their offense? Yes, it's probably their weakest position. Logan Thomas is old. Then what comes after that? Chicago again? Probably not. They have Cole Kmet under a large contract. Another tight end is not their. That's too much of a luxury. They can't afford that. Vegas. I think Michael Mayer is good enough that doubling down at tight end with Brock Bowers is an unwise use of things. Yeah. The Jets, absolutely. The Giants, Darren Waller, they can cut for no dead cap at all. So they're in play, although they need a receiver more. The Tennessee Titans, I would say so. And the Chargers, they don't have a tight end at all.
That's the fun one.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of teams right now. I think the most likely would be Washington or the Jets.
I would say the Jets. I think Washington's going to go tackle. The tackles in this draft are too high end to pass up on. Because if you know how bad Twitter's gonna roast them if they take a tight end over a premium left tackle, like
this mock draft here has them. Here, I'll just read this mock draft to you. You tell me what you think about this. Like I said, Caleb Williams at 1 to the Bears, Drake May at 2, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3, Olu Fashanu at 4 to the Commanders.
Yep.
Malik Neighbors 5 to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels 6 to the Raiders. Joe Alt 7 to the Jets. JC Latham. How do I pronounce that? Latham. At 8 to Alabama. The Giants from Alabama. Giants. And Bowers at 9 to the Titans, which is like the worst landing spot of them all.
I don't think Jay Daniels is going to go that high, but everything else seems like.
Oh, you don't think so?
No.
Oh, I actually disagree. I think he's going to go higher.
Really?
I think he's going to go at 4. Yeah.
He's going to test well. I mean, he's going to test.
He's going to go at 4. I think he's going to go at 4.
It'll be interesting.
I think so.
Maybe it's because I have like that entrenched in my mind. Remember when his Arizona State teammates emptied his locker?
Who cares? That was 2 years ago.
I know it was 2 years ago.
Who cares? Burrow washed out of Ohio State. Joe Burrow washed out of Ohio State. I mean, did that prevent him from being a success in the NFL?
Maybe it's because I didn't play. Maybe because Joe Burrow wasn't on the Debbie radar like Jane Daniels was. Maybe that's why I have the.
That's even worse. That's even worse. He wasn't even on the radar. He wasn't even important to begin with. And then all of a sudden he became good and was great in the NFL. So that's even worse.
I mean, he did have the greatest, well, maybe one of the greatest seasons of all time.
Yeah, that's just what I'm saying. I don't care about what happened 2 years ago.
I have to get to LSU.
You don't accidentally win the Heisman Trophy and have a great amazing statistical season like by mistake. It's usually not an accident.
Like I said, I have to watch LSU. They're going to probably have 3 first-round picks on offense. Daniels is definitely going round 1. Neighbors is definitely going like top 5 at this point. It feels like if Marvin Harrison wasn't there, we'd be talking about.
No, Neighbors. I like what I think makes the most sense for the Bears is to go Caleb Williams 1, Malik Neighbors 5. And then you have, look to free agency to fix the line.
That's what I call a fantasy football gold mine.
Well, you can get a lot. It's easier to get linemen in free agency than it is to get wide receivers in free agency. High-end wide receivers just don't exist in free agency. They don't get to free agency ever. Huh. Who was the last high-end wide receiver to hit the free agent market?
Oh, God. I remember Alshon being talked like it, but like that's.
But really, I mean, like Mike Evans is gonna, because of his contract, is not going to be franchise tagged at $29 million. So he is going to be a free agent, and it is telling that a 30-year-old Mike Evans, who's great, is going to be the best wide receiver to hit unrestricted free agency in my time of playing Dynasty. He is the best one.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't happen. Teams don't let those players go. And if it's not going to work out, they trade them away before the end of the contracts. They do not hit free agency ever, ever, ever. So that's why I like the idea of if I have to spend my high-end draft capital on something, whether it's a high-end wide receiver or a high-end lineman, it's a high-end wide receiver every single time.
I'm on the fence about it.
The best uses of high-end draft capital are quarterback and wide receiver because those do not become available. They don't, ever. They never, ever become available. High-end quarterback and high-end wide receiver are never available. You cannot get them. Unless you're willing to trade even more draft capital away.
I mean, yeah. It's top of the line. Like, it feels like we're... what's the words for it? Like, we're chopping at hairs here, or like whatever it is. I forget because they're both so
splitting
good.
Hairs.
Yeah, splitting hairs. Like the left tackle, Olufashanu and Malik Neighbors are like. I feel like it's gonna be the Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase thing all over again.
I think so, but how did it work out? Who ended up being more valuable?
I mean, Jamar Chase.
Penei Sewell is fine.
He's good.
He's fine. Who's gonna cost more to retain?
It's gonna be
And
Jamar
who would have
Chase.
cost more to replace?
To replace
Jamar Chase by a lot.
Yeah, Jamar Chase, but I mean, it's hard to get elite offensive linemen and it's hard to get elite wide receivers, like no matter how you cut it. Like those are the two positions that are like some of the hardest. Like
the problem is that even the good wide receiver still costs 20 million. Whereas you can get
I was gonna get
you
to that.
can hit on linemen for less in free agency. It does happen. Whereas at wide receiver, it does not happen.
No.
That's the problem. I agree. I talked about this earlier. He was awful without Tyreek Hill. He's really been awful without Tyreek Hill his whole career. People don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Look, Patrick Mahomes has still, I don't want to say struggled. Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. He, even this year, has been good. Tua was bad. Not bad, but like just passable. Just a passable low-end starter without Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real question you have to answer is, and I think this game helped it elucidate it a little bit. People were thinking, well, two things changed, and suddenly Tua was good. He had Mike McDaniel as a head coach, and Tyreek Hill was acquired. Which of those was more responsible? This game, I think, shows you a little that it's more Tyreek Hill, which is scary for Tua's long-term prospects.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tyreek Hill might just be the type of player who's so good that he turns a good quarterback into a great one. But would Tua be a great quarterback on his own? Maybe not. I don't know.
It was talked about last night. Like that should have locked up his MVP candidacy, like right there.
Oh, I mean, I agree.
It's not going to go to him, obviously, but it should.
No, it's not going to go to him because I honestly think that Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy are the two leaders in that regard. But Dak Prescott especially. Dak Prescott has stepped up his game. I mean, he's stepped up the game this year to a new level of being back in the conversation of elite quarterbacks. Whereas I felt like going into this year, he had departed that conversation. But he's gotten himself back in that conversation, which is great.
That alert, if Brock Purdy wins on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, it's that website for the night is going to be absolutely insane if he ends up winning MVP.
I mean, I was told that, Trey Lance should be the starter.
Yeah, I think I was on that boat.
The Trey Lance truthers were like the most obnoxious group of people. I still hear from them. Trey Lance is younger than Bo Nix. That's what I hear. I hear this totally irrelevant and useless piece of information. It's irrelevant. Trey Lance is a bust.
Yeah, it's over.
Get over it. Did every player I like hit? No, I was in on Quentin Johnston. That didn't hit.
There's still time. Justin Herbert's holding back.
Well, I just traded
as I get off my lawn.
Yeah, I've totally given up on him, but it's not what I thought he would do. Zay Flowers and Tank Dell, I totally dismissed for no reason. Well, they had reasons, but it was not right. Like, that was not good. Like, of course, we have bad takes, but the thing is, you adjust to the bad takes, and why be wrong twice? Why be wrong twice? But some Dynasty analysts don't care. They'd rather be wrong twice. They'd rather go down with the ship on their horrible takes. I saw someone on Twitter. I mean, I don't know who this person is. Some person was like, oh, I'm still all in on Jameson Williams. Oh, every game is going to be Jameson Williams game. Oh, this is going to be Jameson. Doesn't get a little old. Like, I think people can see through you. People see through that. That's not analysis. That's stupidity. Like,
you got to know
stupidity.
You got to know when to jump off the ship. Like,
no, it's just, it's not
I wrote Antonio Gibson into
it's that was a mistake that you made. And Paris Campbell, but these are minor details.
Well,
we wouldn't remember these things.
It's not value Paris Campbell's a Dynasty wide receiver one.
You did mention it like many, many times. But
he wasn't a dynasty wide receiver one for me. He was a very cheap acquisition. If you miss on the cheap ones, it hurts way less than missing on the expensive ones.
I learned my lesson with this. Now in the cheap range, we hang on to Kyron Williams and we let Paris Campbell go. I learned this lesson this year. Hold on to the no, seriously. This
I know,
serious.
right. You're exactly right.
No, but I didn't. This was a mistake I made too. So another mistake that I made this year that I need to do better on. If you have any doubt at the bottom of your roster, hold the one that says running back over the one that says wide receiver. Yeah, always, every time, every single time. That's a lesson I learned because yes, there's a Puka Nacua, but there's like one Puka Nacua every 5 years.
I feel like it's more than 5. I think Puka Nacua is at more than 5 years at this rate.
Okay, actually, there's never been a Puka Nacua.
Yeah, that's
even
kind of
someone
what I was trying to get at.
Like, how often is there even a Darnell Mooney? Like, there's not even a Darnell Mooney every year. A player in the 5th round who develops into consistent production and then fizzles. There's not even one of those every year.
No.
So, yeah, at the bottom, you want to keep those running backs because if you let Kyron Williams go or there's just so many examples of running backs like Keaton Mitchell, Chase Brown are now coming on the scene. You want to hang on to those guys,
especially if like the Chase Brown situation. Like if you see an older guy like Joe Mixon in front of him, like what's the worst that could happen? You know what I mean? Because Joe Mixon, if he gets cut or traded or whatever happens to him, he's not the Bengals roster. Even before the draft and free agency, there's that window where Chase Brown is going to be worth a lot more than he is even right now. So
you just have to see the path. Like, you just got to you got to compare them. Like, you look at the path. Like, Kenny McIntosh has no path because Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are not going anywhere. But like Eric Gray has a path, even if he's done nothing. Like the path is technically there. So you want to keep the ones who have the more likely path. As in, what you want the most is a path without needing anyone to leave. If you need someone to leave, keep the older players who are free agents sooner are more likely to leave. The guys who you want the least are the ones who are like stuck behind multiple established running backs, as in Kenny McIntosh. Or like, he's the best example of someone who I liked, but just he's stuck behind 2 totally established running backs who are not going anywhere. So he has just no path to relevance at all. Without like an injury, and not just a short-term injury, like a long-term injury is required for him to have even a shot.
So when you evaluate these late round guys, is it solely about landing spot?
It is. Yeah. At this point, I've learned that lesson. The talent makes no difference. I don't care. My talent eval is irrelevant. For running back only. For wide receiver, it's a little more complicated. For wide receiver, what matters, because the problem is only one running back per team usually matters. I mean, there's maybe one team that has 2 usable running backs at a time in the league, 1 or 2. So essentially one running back matters. So what matters is the path to being that guy. So like if there are the more obstacles in the way, the worse. The less obstacles in the way, the better. At wide receiver, it's different. What matters is not the path to fantasy relevance. It's a path to playing time. I'm going to prefer the guy who has a path to playing time over the guy who doesn't. Because very quickly, as the season starts, if someone is not playing, they're going to get dropped. Like Parker Washington. Actually kind of looks good. But we knew going into the year, there was 0 chance that Parker Washington was going to challenge Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, or Zay Jones for a spot on that top 3 wide receiver. No chance. Like didn't matter how well he played. It was never going to happen. So like, you got to look at the guys who have a chance to crack that rotation when you're looking at a later round guy where the obstacles are less.
Mm-hmm. So would you
like
value
Trey Palmer?
Yeah.
Like Trey Palmer, he hasn't done anything, but he had a path to seeing the field.
So would it be okay landing spot and good testing, or great landing spot and okay testing?
After about like pretty much for any day 3 player, the landing spot's all that matters.
Okay.
Talent doesn't matter really at all. I mean, I thought Kyron Williams was awful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
How much money I every time Kyron Williams gets brought up, I always wonder how much money did that 40 cost him? Like, honestly,
a lot.
Like, that's terrible.
A lot. He would have been a 2nd or 3rd round pick without it.
Is his agent? I hope he fired his agent.
Oh, I hope so. But
disgusting amount of money. I feel bad.
Would you rather hold Daniel Jones or Zach Wilson in Dynasty? Daniel Jones.
It's Daniel Jones, but like we all love Tommy DeVito, so
yeah, Tommy DeVito is saving Daniel Jones's 2024 job.
Yeah, really is. Because if they had the opportunity to draft Drake May, goodbye Daniel Jones. Like,
yeah, at this point, the Giants maybe will have access to Jaden Daniels, and they probably won't. Like, I don't know. The Giants are stubborn. They're a stubborn organization. I really think that, even though I disagree with this decision, I think that if the Giants had access to Caleb Williams or Drake May, they would move on. But anyone else, they're not going to. They're just going to bring back Daniel Jones and roll it back. That's my honest opinion about what they're going to do. So since it doesn't look like they're going to have access to one of those two, I think that they're just going to run it back. Even though I don't agree with that decision. As much as I love Tommy DeVito, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's earned a chance to be the backup.
You see that outfit from his agent?
I can't.
Love it.
Yeah, that's why I'm not really doing that.
Hold on. 101, Caleb Williams. 102, Drake May. End of 103, Marvin Harrison. End of discussion.
Yeah, I get that.
Then it goes into the abyss. You never like.
Yeah.
Those three are so like Malik Neighbors is really good. Don't get me wrong, but those three are just so superior to everyone else with position value and talent. Like, it's 3 slam dunks at the top, and then one heck of a consolation prize with Malik Neighbors.
All right. Can I start Keenan Allen in the playoffs and have any faith whatsoever? I have Keenan Allen at wide receiver 19 this week, so I guess. But
you have to start him, but you're not going to have any faith.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. You have to start him, but no faith. Oh, it's 11 p.m.
That's nice.
I like that. I'd argue Carr isn't even competent anymore. All he does is check down. Yeah, no, he's not playing competently right now because he's hurt. Before he was hurt, he was like barely passable. I mean, yeah.
Barely is very a loose term here.
Yeah. Is there a legit chance Washington takes quarterback? I think it's absolutely a legit chance.
We'll see.
Washington is the other team in potential. Like, I know you that if Washington is number 2, they will take a quarterback. They will take Drake May. Like, I can tell you this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Here's the thing. So I know it's unlikely that it happens right now because of how the schedule's been playing out. Shout out Pittsburgh Steelers because they handed the other 2 teams wins. But if Arizona somehow jumps New England, it's going to be a conversation for Washington to move up 2 spots. And if you're Arizona, you'll still be able to grab one of Neighbors or Marvin Harrison or tackle if you want another tackle. And Washington will be able to select Drake May and cash out.
Yeah. But the thing is, for someone to move up to 2 for Drake May, I think it would have to be someone desperate. And I don't think Washington is desperate. I think the team that's desperate is Las Vegas.
There's a couple desperate teams, it feels like.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
I think Vegas is the desperate team, though.
There's going to be a bidding war.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For both picks. I know Chicago is probably going to take the Caleb Williams pick like they should. You know there's going to be some calls they're going to be like.
Well, I do think the first domino that'll drop is actually Justin Fields being traded. because that's
Yeah.
another option that these teams have, especially the Raiders.
I'd see him in Las Vegas or Atlanta, honestly.
Yeah, those are the two.
Is that one of the greatest season or quarterback seasons of all time per air yards per attempt or something like that?
Yeah, Brock Purdy's been great. You got to give him
he's
his
been
due.
great. I'm just a hater. I'll admit it.
Yeah, you're a hater. I'm glad that you admit it.
I'll admit my bias after he destroyed my football team 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I played him in DFS and I did good. So
I love that.
But yeah.
Well, anyway, I appreciate everyone for tuning into the show. I'm totally out of gas from having done some of it by myself, and the viewers are saying they're not interested. So, I appreciate everyone for watching. If you're, it didn't go well. I think that's also because of the owner.
Adam Thielen, wide receiver 1.
Oh, God, it was so bad. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
Yep.
Check out all the videos. Last 2 Dynasty Stash videos been over 1,000 views. So I never expected that kind of success. So for all the audience who's watched that and everyone else, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I will, we'll be back here. We'll be back here to do the show the next 2 weeks. And then we'll see. We'll see after that. I'm not sure I'm honestly not sure what the live show plans are for the offseason. The recorded shows will continue, and it'll all be Dynasty content. I have a very robust plan for that, but I'm not sure what the live show plans are. So just for the off season, but we will be here the next 2 weeks, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, to wrap up the season content. But until next time, I will see you all later.
See you.
Peace out.